Hello, and thank you for stopping by. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. If you are not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when new videos arrive. Question. First Amendment. What do we think? When we hear the First Amendment, we hear what the First Amendment does. What do we think that encompasses? Do we think the First Amendment deals with speech and press only? Well, according to the Supreme Court, they think the First Amendment deals with a lot more than that. Supreme Court sides with Ted Cruz, striking down a cap on the use of campaign funds to repay personal campaign loans. What does that mean exactly? If you're a candidate and you're running for office and you take money out of your pocket and put it into your campaign, and say 1 million other people donate money to your campaign, after it's all said and done, should you be allowed to take the money that people donated and use it to pay yourself back? Which basically, you're not donating any money at all. Not really. You've got absolutely no skin in the game now. Well, that's what Ted Cruz did. The Supreme Court on Monday ruled in favor of Republican Senator Ted Cruz of Texas in a case involving the use of campaign funds to repay personal campaign loans, dealing the latest blow to campaign finance regulations. The court said that a federal cap on candidates using political contributions after an election to recoup personal loans made to their campaign was unconstitutional. Well, I don't understand why it would be unconstitutional. If you're going to be able to repay yourself, then you should be able to repay everybody else that contributed to your campaign, right? Well, that's what happened back in 2020 when Donald Trump took in donations to help cover the cost of the recounts of the votes in certain states. Once that was done, he was planning on keeping all the rest of that money that he had recouped, which would have been around 300 million, I think. I could be wrong on the number, but I think it was around 300 million that he would have walked away with. Well, the Supreme Court didn't think that was the way to go. The Supreme Court told Donald Trump he had to give back all that campaign money or all that donation money that he had gotten. So if Donald Trump has to give back all of that money, why doesn't Ted Cruz have to give back all of that money as well? I don't get it. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote the 6-3 decision. Justice Elena Kagan wrote the dissent for her liberal colleagues. Justice Stephen Breyer and Justice Sonia Sotomayor, she wrote the dissent for her liberal colleagues. Justice Stephen Breyer and Justice Sonia Sotomayor, she wrote the dissent for them, which means that they all agreed on that. The question is whether this restriction violates the First Amendment rights of candidates and their campaigns to engage in political speech. Roberts wrote, he said there is no doubt that the law doesn't burden First Amendment electoral speech. Any such law must be at least justified by a permissible interest, he added, and the government had not been able to identify a single case of so-called quid pro quo corruption. Okay. Roberts concluded that the provision burdens core political speech without proper justification. How is that possible? You're able to donate. Well, then why don't you just say, okay, I'm donating money, and you don't actually put any money into your campaign. You just leave it in your account. You say, I'll set this money aside, and I'm going to use it for my campaign. In her dissenting opinion, Kagan criticized the majority for ruling against a law that she said was meant to combat a special danger of corruption aimed at political contributions that will line a candidate's own pocket. That law was put in place so candidates couldn't run for office, get campaign financing or campaign funding, and then lose the election and get to keep all that money and profit from it. In striking down the law today, she wrote, the court greenlights all the sordid bargains Congress thought right to stop. In allowing those payments to go forward unrestrained, today's decision can only bring this country's political system into further dispute. And that's true. When you do this and you are setting a precedent for this, other candidates can use this to open the gate wider than it is. We've punched a hole into the Constitution. We have punched a hole into the Constitution and the way America's foundation should be. We've punched a hole into it, and now it is open for anybody to rip through. Indeed, she explained, repaying a campaign's loan after he has won the election cannot serve the usual purposes of a contribution. You're contributing. Why is that fair for you to be able to get your money back? The money comes too late to aid in any of his campaign activities. All the money does is enrich the candidate personally at a time when he can return the favor. But a vote, a contract, an appointment, it takes no political genius to see that the heightened risk of corruption, the danger of I'll make you richer and you'll make me richer arrangements between donors and office holders. In a statement after the ruling, attorney Charles Cooper, who represented Cruz in the case, praised the decision as a victory for First Amendments, guaranteeing the freedom of speech in the political process. It doesn't guarantee freedom of speech in the political process. What it does, it guarantees that you don't have to have any skin in the game. You can put your money in knowing that you're going to get it back. That's like making an investment into Wall Street, knowing that if it tanks, you can just get your money back. In the case, campaign finance regulators at the Federal Election Commission argued that the cap, a part of the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act of 2002, is necessary to protect against corruption, but a 3-judge appellate court ruled in favor of Cruz last year, holding that the loan repayment restrictions violated his First Amendment right to free speech. How is you donating money and not being able to get it back violating your free speech? Does cash now have a voice? Is that what they're saying? That the one with the biggest amount of money has the biggest voice in the room? Justice Amy Coney Barrett said that Cruz had emphasized that the after-election repayment scheme would simply replenish his coffers from money he had loaned. This doesn't enrich him personally because he's no better off than he was before, she said, adding, it's paying a loan, not lining his pockets. But by getting your money back, you are not losing anything. You're not contributing nothing. That would be like if you volunteer your time at a particular place, and then at the end of the week, they give you a check to cover your time. When actually you're supposed to be volunteering your time out of your time. You're taking time out of your time to help somebody, but instead they're giving you money at the end of the week as payment for your services. That's not right. It doesn't make any sense. And Justice Barrett Kavanaugh said that a candidate may feel reluctant to loan money before the campaign out of fear he would not be able to recoup it. Well, if you do that, everybody would donate if they knew they were going to get their money back. It's like, yeah, I've only got $1 million, but I can give you $500,000 to your campaign because I know I'm going to get it back. It may take me a few months, but I'll get it back. So I'm not losing nothing. That seems to be it, he said. A chill on your ability to loan your campaign money. Well, there's supposed to be a chill there. If you don't really believe in what you're doing, if you don't believe enough in donating the money, if you don't believe in the cause enough to lose that money, then you're only what they consider like in boxing. You didn't beat the champion to win the title. The title was vacated and it was given to you, which means you're only a paper champion. Kavanaugh echoed a lower court's opinion that went in favor of Cruz. A candidate's loan to his campaign is an expenditure that may be used for expensive acts. The court said in an opinion written by D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals Judge Naomi Rayo. She and D.C. District Court judges Amit Mehta and Timothy Kelly ruled unanimously. Such an expensive act or burden when a candidate is inhibited from making a personal loan or incurring one out of concern that she or he will be left holding the bag on any unpaid campaign debt. Well, so that's just the way it goes. Like kids nowadays, the kids, they want to be able to take out these loans for school as long as they know that they will be forgiven the loan and they don't have to pay it back. It's always easy to take things when you don't have to pay them back. You sit there at a restaurant and you eat and eat and eat because you know when the bill comes, you don't have to pay it. Biden's administration and campaign finance watchdogs support limits. Federal law allows candidates to make loans to their campaign committees without limits. Cruz was challenging a provision of the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act of 2002 that, however, imposed a $250,000 limit on a campaign committee's ability to repay those loans with money contributed by donors after the election. A day before he was elected in 2018, Cruz loaned his campaign committee $260,000, $10,000 over the limit, laying the foundation for his legal challenges to the cap. While he could not have been repaid in full by campaign funds if the repayment occurred 20 days after the election, but Cruz let the 20-day deadline lapse so that he could establish grounds to bring the legal challenge. The law, by substantially increasing the risk that any candidate loan will never be fully repaid, forces a candidate to think twice before making loans in the first place, Cruz briefly said. And that's true. This is something that needs to be thought about and be very important, or it is something that should not be done. I don't think people should be allowed to donate money and get it back at all. I think that when you donate money to your campaign, then you should just do like everybody else that donates money. Just write it off on your taxes. That's what I think. But what do you think? How do you see it? Is this an important thing to you? Do you see something happening in the future that could possibly run amok and cause major damage? Do you see it interfering with candidates in the future? If you do, put it in a comment below. Like, yeah, right down there in the comment. If you do. If you want to add to that and put your 2 cents worth in, down there in the comments. If you like my video, and you like my videos, give me a big old thumbs up, and please hit that subscribe button and the notification button so you can be notified when new videos arrive. I'm going to let you go on this note. Remember, make tomorrow better than yesterday by doing the very best you can today. Have a good afternoon, America, and all points beyond.